The laughter started during the third slide of Earth's presentation. Ambassador David Lang stood before the assembled representatives of 47 galactic civilizations, watching his carefully prepared defense strategy dissolve into mockery. The holographic display showed humanity's fleet, 12 destroyers and 36 support vessels, arranged in formation near the lunar orbit. High Magistrate Rolvan leaned back in his crystalline throne, his reptilian features twisted into what passed for amusement among his species. The ancient creature had presided over the Galactic Council for 600 cycles, and Lang could see boredom radiating from every scale of his body. "These are your warships?" The question came from General Bravak, the Torvan warlord whose empire controlled 17 systems. His forearms gestured dismissively at the projection. "My personal yacht carries more firepower." Ripples of laughter spread through the chamber. The insectoid Hravathi delegation clicked their mandibles in what their species considered hilarious. Even the normally diplomatic Delphari, aquatic beings housed in mobile water tanks, bubbled with barely contained amusement. Lang remained perfectly still. His military training served him well in moments like these. He had commanded troops through 3 colonial conflicts before becoming a diplomat. He knew when to speak and when to let others reveal themselves. "Perhaps Earth misunderstands the purpose of this council," said Representative Sulvix of the Hravathi Collective. Her translator converted her clicks into smooth, condescending tones. "We gather to discuss matters of galactic importance, not to entertain requests from species still learning to leave their own star system." More laughter. Lang noticed several delegates weren't laughing. The Olgren observer sat motionless, his 6 eyes fixed on Lang with what might have been concern. A few others shifted uncomfortably in their seats. "Earth respectfully requests protected status under Galactic Convention 7, Lang said, his voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber. "Our colonies number 15 worlds. Our population exceeds 40 billion. We have demonstrated peaceful intent in all first contact scenarios." "Peaceful intent," Bravak repeated, his voice dripping with scorn. He activated his own holographic display showing human colony ships. "Because you have no other option. Your vessels take months to cross distances we travel in hours. Your weapons cannot penetrate even civilian shielding. You are lambs requesting the wolves show mercy." The Torvan general received approving growls and clicks from the more militaristic species. Lang watched the political landscape shift before his eyes. Earth had hoped for protection. Instead, they had revealed weakness to predators. "Let me show you something," Bravak continued, clearly enjoying himself. He pulled up tactical assessments, economic projections, resource surveys of human colonies. Earth possesses 17 mineral-rich worlds, 12 with optimal agricultural capacity, and 3 with rare element deposits. Yet they defend these prizes with ships that belong in museums. Lang felt his jaw tighten. The council chamber, a massive sphere of transparent materials floating in the void between stations, suddenly felt very small. Through the clear walls he could see the stars. Somewhere out there, Earth waited for news of this meeting. "The Torvan Empire proposes immediate annexation of human colonies in the Outer Reach," Bravak announced. "These worlds sit in unclaimed space by galactic law. Since Earth cannot adequately defend them, we shall assume administration." "Seconded," hissed the Hravathi representative. "This is a violation of first contact protocols," Lang said, stepping forward. His voice remained level, but something in his tone made several delegates pause. "Earth came here in good faith." "And Earth will leave with valuable knowledge," Rolvan said, his ancient voice carrying finality. "The galaxy has rules, Ambassador. The strong take what they can hold. The weak accept what they must. This is not cruelty. This is nature." Lang looked around the chamber. He saw calculation in their eyes. Not all of them approved of Bravak's aggression, but none would oppose it. Earth was too far away, too weak, too irrelevant to risk diplomatic capital defending. "Very well," Lang said quietly. He reached into his jacket and removed a small data crystal, placing it carefully on the speaker's podium. "I was instructed to play this if negotiations failed." "A threat?" Bravak laughed. "From Earth?" "A message," Lang corrected. He activated the crystal. A woman's face appeared in holographic form above the podium. She wore a simple uniform with no decorations or rank insignia. Her features were unremarkable, her expression neutral. She looked directly at the assembled council. "My name is Director Sarah Wells," she said. If you are viewing this, Ambassador Lang has determined that peaceful integration with galactic civilization is impossible. On behalf of Earth and all human colonies, I say this. We came in peace. We offered partnership. We asked only for the same protections you extend to other developing species. She paused and something flickered across her face. Not anger, not fear, something else entirely. Remember that we made this offer. Remember that we tried. Remember that what happens next was not our first choice. The hologram ended. Silence filled the council chamber for perhaps 3 seconds. Then Bravak burst into laughter so hard his translator struggled to keep up. A warning. From the species with less firepower than a cargo hauler. What will you do, Ambassador? Write us strongly worded letters? Lang picked up the crystal and placed it back in his jacket. He looked at Rolvan, at Bravak, at all the assembled species who had dismissed humanity as insignificant. The human delegation will be departing Confluence Station within the hour, he said. We thank the council for their time. Running home already? Solvix clicked mockingly. How very human. Lang walked toward the exit, his footsteps echoing in the vast chamber. As he reached the door, he stopped and turned back. You have 48 hours, he said. I suggest you use them wisely. The laughter followed him out into the corridor, but Lang noticed it sounded slightly forced now. He had seen the sensor readings during Wells' message. Every human in the delegation had received an encrypted pulse at the same moment the hologram ended. The protocol had been activated. Earth wasn't running away. Earth was going dark, and the galaxy would learn why that difference mattered. Observer Quillneck adjusted his sensory apparatus, trying to make sense of the readings that scrolled across his display screen. The Olgren scientist had been stationed on Confluence for 12 years, monitoring shipping traffic through the sector. His job was boring, methodical, and exactly what his analytical mind preferred. Ships came, ships went, and Quillneck recorded their movements with precise accuracy. But in the last 6 hours, every human vessel within 3 systems had begun moving in ways that made no sense at all. Traffic control. This is Science Pod 17, he transmitted. I need confirmation on human vessel movements. Are they evacuating? The reply came back irritated and dismissive. All human ships are departing on schedule, Observer. Ambassador Lang filed the proper documentation before leaving. Stop bothering us with obvious questions. Quillneck's 6 eyes blinked independently, a sign of deep confusion among his species. Yes, the humans were leaving, but not in the panicked scramble everyone assumed. Their movements were too precise, too coordinated. He pulled up tracking data for the last human ship to leave Confluence, a cargo hauler called Steadfast Horizon. Captain Anne Reeves had undocked exactly 17 minutes after the council session ended. Her flight path took her toward the jump point for human space, but her acceleration curve was wrong. Too slow, too controlled. Quillneck switched to deep sensor mode, sacrificing resolution for range. What he saw made his primary brain stumble over its own thoughts. 23 human vessels across the sector were moving in formation, even though they were light hours apart. They pulsed their engines in synchronized patterns, creating what looked almost like a signal, a countdown. This is not retreat behavior, Quillneck muttered to himself. He had studied hundreds of species over his long career. When civilizations fled in fear, they scattered. They panicked. They left possessions behind in their rush to escape. Humans were doing the opposite. They were gathering. He opened a channel to his supervisor, an elderly Olgren named Talvish who had observed galactic politics for 3 centuries. Elder, I believe we may have misunderstood the human response. They were humiliated and threatened, Talvish replied, his voice carrying the weight of experience. They are returning home. What is there to misunderstand? Their coordination suggests planning, not panic. And look at these energy readings from their vessels. Quillneck forwarded the data. I have never seen propulsion signatures quite like this. The pattern shifts every few minutes as if adapting. A long pause followed. Then Talvish spoke again, his tone much more serious. Continue monitoring. Report anything unusual directly to me, not to traffic control. Quillneck returned to his sensors. The human ships continued their slow, deliberate exodus. He tracked them as far as his instruments allowed, watching as they passed through the jump point toward Earth space. Then something extraordinary happened. Every human transponder in the galaxy went silent simultaneously. Not gradually, not system by system. Every single one. At exactly 300 Galactic Standard Time, Quilneck's sensory apparatus flared in alarm. He immediately checked for equipment malfunction. All systems nominal. He checked the galactic communication network. Other species reported the same phenomenon. 40 billion human beings spread across 15 colony worlds and hundreds of ships had simply disappeared from all tracking systems at the same instant. Elder, Quilneck transmitted urgently. Total communication blackout from all human sources. This is not mechanical failure. This is coordinated. Within minutes, the galactic news networks exploded with speculation. Most outlets mocked humanity's dramatic exit. One popular commentator called it the greatest tantrum in galactic history. The general consensus was simple. Earth had taken their toys and gone home to sulk. But Quilneck kept watching his sensors. And he saw what others missed. Human colony worlds had not gone silent because they powered down. They had gone silent because something was blocking observation. Every human settlement now registered on long-range sensors as a fuzzy blur, like trying to see through thick fog. The energy signatures were there, stronger than before actually, but distorted beyond recognition. He focused his instruments on the Sol system, humanity's home. What appeared on his display made him physically recoil. The entire star system was enclosed in some kind of field. It looked like reality itself had grown thick around Sol, creating a barrier that bent light and scattered sensor beams. Ships that approached the field reported their instruments going haywire, showing impossible readings that changed from moment to moment. "They are not hiding," Quilneck said aloud, his voice filled with dawning realization. "They are transforming." He pulled up Ambassador Lang's final words to the Council. 48 hours. The human had given them 48 hours. Not a threat of retaliation, not a promise of revenge, a warning to get clear of whatever was about to happen. Quilneck began compiling his data into a comprehensive report. He included every reading, every anomaly, every impossible energy signature. As he worked, news came in from across the galaxy. The Haravathi science fleet had sent probes toward human colonies. All 17 probes lost contact simultaneously when they crossed into what the media was now calling human dark zones. A Torvan patrol investigating an abandoned human mining station reported finding all equipment still running, but operating on principles their engineers could not explain. The fusion reactors were producing energy through processes that violated known physics. The Delphari embassy reported that their human liaison staff had voluntarily sealed themselves in their quarters. They were alive and responsive through sealed doors but refused to emerge. They claimed they were processing updates. Most species laughed off these reports as human eccentricity or elaborate theater. Quilneck knew better. He had spent decades studying the patterns of civilizations in crisis. This was not a civilization in retreat. This was a civilization molting, shedding one form to reveal another. His communication panel lit up. A priority message from Talvish. "Observer Quilneck, take your findings to the Great Library on Wisdom's Reach immediately. I have forwarded your security clearance for the restricted archives." "Elder, I do not understand." "The Council mocked humanity for being primitive," Talvish replied, and Quilneck heard something rare in his supervisor's voice. "Fear. But I remember old stories from before my time, from before the current galactic order. Stories about the Third World and the species that came from there. Go to the library. Find the truth about what humans actually are. What will you do?" "I will try to warn the Council before they make this situation worse, though I suspect we are already too late." Quilneck immediately began preparing his ship for departure. Through his observation port, he could see the stars spreading across the void. Somewhere out there, in those dark zones, humanity was becoming something else, and the galaxy had no idea what was about to emerge. Admiral Grevnik watched his tactical display with growing irritation as 3 of his destroyers simply vanished from sensors. The Torvan officer had commanded fleets for 40 years. He had conquered systems, crushed rebellions, and earned his rank through countless battles. He did not lose ships to equipment malfunctions, and he certainly did not lose them to primitive humans. "Communications. Re-establish contact with Battle Group 3, he ordered, his 4 arms working multiple control panels simultaneously. "Negative contact, Admiral. Last transmission showed sensor anomalies, then nothing. No distress signal, no debris field, no trace." Grevnik's mandibles clicked in frustration. Battle Group 3 consisted of 3 destroyers investigating the human mining colony on Ashfield 7. They should have arrived 6 hours ago. The colony should have been secured. The humans should have been in custody or fled. Instead, his ships had disappeared. Send Battle Group 7 to investigate, full combat readiness, and transmit continuous telemetry back to the flagship. The orders went out. Grevnik studied the star chart before him. The Torvan Empire had moved quickly after the council session, exactly as General Bravak planned. Human colonies represented easy prizes, poorly defended resources ripe for annexation. A dozen Torvan fleets had deployed within hours of Earth's humiliation, but the reports coming back made no sense. Human colonies were empty but still running. Ships that entered human space experienced sensor malfunctions, and now vessels were starting to disappear. His communication officer suddenly stiffened. Admiral, incoming transmission. Audio only. Source unknown. Play it. The voice that emerged from the speakers was human, speaking flawless Torvan with no accent or translation lag. A female voice, calm and cold. Torvan vessels, you are in violation of Protocol 13. Withdraw immediately. This is your only warning. Grevnik's mandibles spread in what his species considered a smile. Unknown human vessel. This is Admiral Grevnik of the Torvan Imperial Navy. These systems are now under Torvan administration by right of conquest. You will surrender or be destroyed. Silence answered him for several long seconds. Then the voice spoke again. You do not understand what you have done. Leave now while you still can. The transmission ended. Grevnik roared orders to his crew. Trace that signal. I want coordinates. Sir, the signal came from everywhere and nowhere. It transmitted through our own communication system somehow, like it originated inside our ship. A chill ran through Grevnik's body, the Torvan equivalent of unease, but he had not survived 4 decades by showing weakness. Battle Group 7 report status. The response came back immediately. Approaching Ashfield 7 now, Admiral. Colony is visible. No human vessels on sensors. Wait, we are detecting something. Multiple small contacts approaching at high velocity. Configuring weapons to engage. Transmit live feed to flagship tactical. Grevnik's display lit up with the view from Battle Group 7's lead destroyer. The human mining colony sat on a barren moon, its domes and excavation equipment clearly visible, empty of people, but all systems appeared active. Then the contacts appeared on the sensor overlay. Dozens of them accelerating toward the Torvan ships at speeds that made his tactical computer flag impossible readings. The objects were small, perhaps the size of fighter craft, but their velocity exceeded anything Grevnik had seen outside of weapons fire. Engaging targets, the battle group commander reported. Energy weapons fired from all 3 destroyers, filling space with destructive force. The objects did not evade. They did not deploy shields. They simply were not there when the weapons fire arrived, appearing in different positions as if they had never moved but reality had shifted around them. What in the void? Grevnik muttered. The objects surrounded Battle Group 7 in a sphere formation. Grevnik saw them clearly now on the visual feed. They were not ships. They were wrong. Organic and mechanical merged in ways that hurt to look at, shapes that seemed to exist in more than 3 dimensions. Admiral, they are not attacking, the battle group commander said, his voice tight with barely controlled fear. They are just watching us. Then, simultaneously, all 3 destroyers lost main power. Not from weapons fire, not from system failure. Their reactors simply stopped producing energy, as if the fundamental processes of fusion had been politely asked to cease. In the silence of dead ships, one of the objects drifted close to the flagship destroyer's bridge. Grevnik saw it through the visual feed. It looked almost like a human form but stretched and changed, interfaced with technology that seemed alive. A voice transmitted directly through the ship's hull, vibrating the metal itself to create sound. You were warned. You did not listen. You will not be harmed, but you will leave. The 3 destroyers suddenly jolted, propelled by forces that registered on no sensor. They were thrown out of the system at velocities that should have torn them apart, but the crews emerged intact if traumatized. They appeared at the edge of Torvan space, their power systems returning as mysteriously as they had failed. Grevnik received the battle group's report in stunned silence. Then more reports flooded in. Torvan ships across 6 systems had encountered the same phenomenon. Empty human colonies, mysterious objects, Ships rendered powerless and ejected from human space without a shot fired. "Get me General Brevak," Grevnik ordered. When the general's face appeared on the communication screen, Grevnik chose his words carefully. "Sir, we have a situation. The humans are not what we believed. I recommend immediate withdrawal until we better understand what we are facing." Brevak's face twisted with rage. "We face a species of cowards hiding behind parlor tricks. I will not be frightened by mysterious sensor readings and empty colonies. General, I have lost 18 ships, not destroyed. They were disabled and thrown out of human space by technology we cannot comprehend. We are not fighting a weak species. We are fighting something pretending to be weak." "Then we will stop pretending to be merciful," Brevak snarled. "Assemble the Third Fleet, 300 warships. We will reduce one of their colonies to rubble and see how mysterious they remain." Grevnik wanted to protest. His instincts, honed through decades of warfare, screamed that this was the wrong approach. But Brevak had the authority, and Torvan military culture did not tolerate cowardice. "As you command, General." The Third Fleet began assembling near the human colony world of New Stevens. 300 warships, enough firepower to crack a planet's crust. Whatever tricks the humans possessed, they would be overwhelmed by sheer force. At least that was what Brevak believed. Grevnik prepared his ships and tried to ignore the cold certainty growing in his gut. They were not hunting prey. They were poking something ancient and terrible, something that had been sleeping, and now it was waking up angry. 2 days had passed since Ambassador Lang's warning. The 48 hours had expired. Whatever restraint humanity had been showing was about to end. The Third Fleet jumped into the New Stevens system with weapons primed and shields at maximum. They found the colony world exactly where it should be, orbiting its star in the normal way. Except the planet was different. The continents had rearranged themselves. The oceans had changed color, and according to every sensor in the fleet, New Stevens was not in this system an hour ago. It had been moved across interstellar space and placed in a different orbit, around a different star. Space itself had been manipulated like clay in human hands. Admiral Grevnik stared at his instruments, watching reality bend in ways his mind could barely process. He opened a channel to General Brevak. "Sir," he said quietly, "I believe we have made a terrible mistake." The Great Library existed outside normal space, anchored to reality through mathematics too complex for most species to comprehend. Observer Quilnek stepped through the portal onto Wisdom's reach and felt his sensory apparatus adjust to the strange dimensions of the place. The station was ancient, older than the current galactic civilization, older perhaps than the civilizations before that. Its corridors stretched in directions that should not exist, and its data archives contained knowledge from species long extinct. A holographic figure materialized before him, appearing as a simple geometric shape that pulsed with soft light. The keeper of the library, an artificial intelligence that predated star travel. Observer Quilnek of the Olgren Confederacy, the keeper said in a voice like wind through crystal. "You seek information about humanity." "Yes, Keeper. The species is behaving in ways that contradict all observed patterns. I need to understand their origins." "Walk with me." The keeper led Quilnek through corridors lined with data streams, each one containing the complete history of a civilization. Some glowed brightly, representing species still thriving. Others had dimmed to almost nothing, the last remnants of forgotten peoples. "Tell me what you know of galactic history," the keeper said. Quilnek organized his thoughts. The current galactic order arose approximately 2 million years ago. Before that, records become fragmentary. The Great Library suggests multiple cycles of civilization, each rising and falling. Correct. And what do you know of the previous cycles? And very little. The records describe a catastrophic event, something that threatened reality itself, but the details are corrupted or deliberately erased. The keeper stopped before a data stream that pulsed with dark red light. "This is the archive of the last war. Access is restricted to prevent panic, for the enemy was never truly defeated. Only contained." Quilnek felt his hearts accelerate. What enemy? They had no name that translates into modern language. They were entities that existed between dimensions, feeding on consciousness itself. When they entered our reality, they consumed civilizations like fire consumes dry wood. The previous galactic order united against them and was losing. The data stream opened, flooding Quilnek's mind with images. He saw vast fleets burning, Worlds going silent, entire species vanishing as if they had never existed. He saw terror spreading through the galaxy like a plague. Then came the Guardians. The Keeper continued. A species from the third world of a young star. They possessed unique properties. Their minds existed partially outside normal reality, making them resistant to the enemy's predation, and they had developed technology that could manipulate space in ways no one had seen before. The images shifted. Quillneck saw humans, or creatures that would become humans but changed. They moved through space like thought, their vessels bending reality around them. They built vast installations across the galaxy, networks of weapons and shields that pushed the enemy back. The Guardians won the war through sacrifice, the Keeper said. They created a barrier, sealing the enemy outside reality's edge. But maintaining that barrier required constant vigilance, so the Guardians changed themselves. They created a protocol embedded in their very biology. What kind of protocol? Hibernation. The Guardians would sleep, their technology disguised as primitive machinery, their abilities dormant. They would develop naturally as a civilian species, capable of art and love and all the peaceful things they had abandoned during the war. They would spread through the galaxy as explorers and traders. Quillneck understood, unless something threatened them. Precisely. Threat assessment triggers awakening. The mockery at the Council, the territorial claims, the aggression against their colonies, all of these activated the defense protocol. Humanity is not hiding, observer. Humanity is returning to their true form. The data stream showed more recent images, captured by deep space monitoring systems, human vessels transforming, their simple metal hulls splitting open to reveal organic-mechanical hybrids, human colonies rearranging themselves, tapping into the ancient network of Guardian installations buried beneath their foundations. They were never weak, Quillneck said, awe and horror mixing in his voice. No. They were patient. They hoped to integrate peacefully, to remain in their civilian mode permanently. But the galaxy refused to let them. What happens now? The Keeper's light dimmed. That depends on how the galaxy responds. If the aggressive species cease their attacks, humanity may remain mostly dormant, acting only as quiet guardians. But if the provocation continues, the full protocol will activate, and the Guardians will return completely. The Council must know this immediately. They will not believe you. Ambassador Lang left a recording. He knew what would happen. He tried to warn them. The Keeper projected a hologram. David Lang appeared, still wearing his diplomatic uniform, but something in his eyes had changed. He looked older, sadder. My name is David Lang, the hologram said, but I am also Warden Protocol 774. I have carried this designation for 23,000 years, sleeping through countless lifetimes, awakening only when necessary. I hoped this incarnation would be different. I hoped we could be just human, nothing more. Lang's image showed pain. We evolved naturally on Earth, or perhaps we were seeded there by the first Guardians. It does not matter. What matters is that we carry the defense protocol. When we feel safe, it sleeps. We create art, raise families, dream of peace. But when we are threatened, when we see aggression that could spread across the galaxy, the protocol activates. We are becoming Guardians again, not by choice. The transformation is automatic, written into our genetic code. Within days, we will be what we were before. Warriors who exist to protect this reality from threats both external and internal. The hologram's expression hardened. I gave the Council 48 hours, not as a threat, but because the transformation takes time. Those hours have passed. What happens next is the galaxy's choice. Stand down and we will remain peaceful Guardians. Continue your aggression and we will respond as we were designed to. Lang paused, looking directly at whoever watched this recording. We never wanted this. We came in peace. Remember that, the hologram ended. Quillneck stood in silence, processing what he had learned. The pieces finally made sense. The coordinated movements, the impossible technology, the empty colonies that were not really empty. Humanity was not evacuating or hiding. They were updating. I must return to Confluence, Quillneck said. The Council is planning to escalate. General Bravac is assembling fleets. Then you may already be too late. The Torvin have been testing human defenses. Small provocations. The full Guardian response will come soon. How will we know when it happens? The Keeper's light pulsed with what might have been sadness. You will see humans everywhere. Not individual humans, but humanity as a collective consciousness. The Guardian network spans the entire galaxy. Every ancient installation, Every mysterious ruin, every unexplained structure is part of their defense system. When the protocol fully activates, all of it comes online simultaneously. Quilnek felt his courage falter. What you describe sounds like gods, not gods. Immune system. The galaxy is a living thing in ways most species do not understand. Humanity is its white blood cells designed to respond to infection. Right now they are assessing whether the Torvan Empire and its allies represent a threat to overall galactic health. And if the assessment is positive, then those civilizations will be contained. Not destroyed, but locked in their home systems until they mature past their aggressive phase. It happened before, millions of years ago. Several species in the current Council are descended from civilizations that were contained and later released, once they learned to coexist peacefully. Observer Quilnek thanked the Keeper and returned to his ship. His mind spun with the weight of what he had learned. He immediately set course for Confluence, transmitting an urgent priority message to High Magistrate Rolvan. But even as he fled through space, he saw the signs. Strange energy signatures appeared across the galaxy, ancient installations powering up after eons of dormancy. The Guardian network was activating, and humanity was about to show the galaxy what they truly were. The question was whether the galaxy would survive the lesson. Reality twisted wrong as the Hravathi research vessel, Infinite Curiosity, dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the human colony of Riverside. Chief Scientist Milvara had insisted on investigating the so-called human mysteries personally. Her species prided themselves on logical thought and scientific precision. She did not believe in supernatural phenomena or ancient powers. There had to be a rational explanation for what was happening in human space. She was about to learn how wrong she could be. Sensors are active, her deputy reported. Scanning the colony world now. Atmosphere is standard Earth normal. Population centers register approximately 5 million human life signs. No defensive satellites, no orbital platforms, no military presence whatsoever. Milvara clicked her mandibles in satisfaction. Exactly as expected. The rumors of human power are propaganda designed to frighten aggressive species. Bring us into high orbit. The research vessel moved closer to Riverside, its sophisticated instruments analyzing every wavelength and particle. The planet appeared completely normal, a standard human colony with farms, cities, and industrial centers. Nothing mysterious about it at all. Then something changed. Chief Scientist, I am detecting energy fluctuations across the entire planetary surface, the sensor officer said, confusion in his voice. Power readings are increasing exponentially. Source unknown. Milvara pulled up the data on her display. Every human settlement on Riverside was drawing energy from somewhere, but her instruments could not identify the source. It was as if power was flowing into the planet from outside normal space. Get me a visual on the capital city. The holographic display zoomed in on Riverside's largest population center. What Milvara saw made her chitin crawl. The humans were not panicking or fleeing. They were gathering in the streets, thousands of them, standing in perfect formations. And they were changing. Magnify that image, she ordered, her voice tight. The display enhanced, showing individual humans in detail. Their bodies were shifting, becoming something between flesh and metal. Their skin flickered with patterns of light. Their eyes glowed with energy that registered across multiple spectrums simultaneously. This is not possible, Milvara whispered. Evolution does not work this fast. Technology does not integrate with biology this completely. Chief Scientist, multiple contacts approaching our position. Identification impossible. They are not reading as ships or life forms or anything in our database. The objects appeared on sensors as contradictions. Solid and ethereal, large and small, present and absent. Milvara's instruments gave readings. That made no sense. Numbers that should not exist in physical reality. Then they appeared on visual display, and Milvara understood why the Torvan fleets had fled. The objects were humans, or had been. They existed in ships that seemed grown rather than built. Vessels that phased in and out of normal space as if deciding whether to obey physics or not. Each one radiated power that exceeded the entire output of Milvara's research vessel. A voice transmitted directly through the hull of infinite curiosity, speaking in perfect Ravathi, the sounds resonating through the metal itself. Research vessel. Infinite curiosity. You are in proximity to a Guardian awakening zone. For your safety, withdraw immediately. Milvara found her courage. She had not traveled across the galaxy to run from the first sign of unusual phenomena. This is Chief Scientist Milvara. We are a civilian research vessel on a peaceful scientific mission. We mean no harm. Understood. However, the transformation process releases energies that may damage your vessel's systems. Please withdraw to a safe distance of 5 light hours. 5 light hours. That was an absurd safety radius. What kind of energy release required that much clearance? We have shielding rated for stellar observation. We will be fine. A long pause. Then the voice responded, and Milvara detected something in its tone. Not anger. Not impatience. Sadness. As you wish. But please record what you see. Others need to understand what we are becoming. The objects withdrew, giving Milvara's vessel a clear view of Riverside. She turned every sensor she had toward the planet, determined to document whatever was happening. The transformation accelerated. The 5 million humans on Riverside moved in perfect synchronization, as if controlled by a single mind. They were not individuals anymore, but parts of a larger whole. Their bodies glowed brighter, and the air around them shimmered with distortions. Then they sang. The sound transmitted through vacuum, through the hull of the research vessel, through Milvara's very body. It was not air vibrating. It was reality itself resonating with human consciousness. The song had no words but carried meaning directly into her mind. She understood in that moment what humans truly were. Not a single species, but a distributed intelligence. Billions of nodes in a vast network that spanned the galaxy. They had forgotten this truth during their civilian phase, living as individuals who loved and fought and dreamed. But the protocol had activated and the network was reconnecting. The humans of Riverside lifted into the air without ships or thrusters. They simply decided gravity no longer applied to them, and reality agreed. They spread across the planet, in patterns that looked random but formed equations Milvara's computer could barely parse. Beneath the surface of Riverside, something ancient responded to their call. A Guardian installation, buried there millions of years ago, came online. Its power output registered as infinite on Milvara's instruments, drawing energy from dimensions her species had only theorized might exist. The planet itself began to change, not in dramatic explosions or destructive transformations. Quietly, gently, Riverside reorganized itself at a fundamental level. The cities remained, the farms continued operating, but now they were connected to something vast and eternal. We are detecting similar activations across the galaxy, Milvara's sensor officer reported, his voice shaking. 16,412 Guardian installations coming online simultaneously. They are all connected. They form a network that spans known space. Milvara pulled up the galactic map. Across every sector, ancient sites that archaeologists had studied for centuries were lighting up. The mysterious ruins on Thornwall, the impossible structures in the Void's Edge Nebula, the mathematical anomalies near the galactic core. All of them were Guardian installations and all of them were waking up. Get me a communication channel to Confluence Station, Milvara ordered. The Council needs to know what is happening. But before her communication officer could comply, every system on the research vessel shut down, not violently. Gently, almost apologetically. Milvara sat in darkness for 3 seconds that felt like hours. Then power returned. But her instruments showed something impossible. The infinite curiosity was no longer near Riverside. They had been moved, instantaneously, to the edge of Hravathi space. The voice transmitted one final message. We relocated your vessel to ensure your safety. The transformation energies would have destroyed your ship. Tell your people what you saw. Tell them the Guardians have returned. Tell them we still do not wish to fight, but we will protect what must be protected. Milvara stared at her displays, trying to process what had happened. Her ship had been moved across dozens of light years in an instant. Space itself had been manipulated like clay. She began composing her report, though she knew most would not believe it. How could they? She barely believed it herself, and she had witnessed it directly. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out. Research vessels, observation posts, and military scouts all saw the same thing. Humanity was transforming, installations were activating, and the ancient Guardian network was coming online after millions of years of dormancy. Captain Anne Reeves stood on the bridge of Steadfast Horizon, but she was also everywhere else simultaneously. Her consciousness had expanded, connecting with every other human in the fleet, on the colonies, on Earth itself. She was individual and collective, Anne and Guardian, human and something more. She felt the network stabilizing. The transformation was nearly complete. Soon they would be what they were always meant to be, protectors of galactic civilization against threats both external and internal. And the galaxy had just shown itself to be full of threats. The question now was whether those threats would stand down, or whether the Guardians would have to remind everyone why ancient civilizations had built their defenses in the first place. Anne hoped for peace. But she was ready for war. They all were. The Guardians had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same. High Magistrate Rolvin had lived for 800 years, and presided over the Galactic Council for 6 centuries. He had seen empires rise and fall. He had mediated wars, brokered peace treaties, and watched civilizations evolve from primitive tribes to spacefaring powers. Nothing surprised him anymore, until Ambassador David Lang walked back into the council chamber. The human looked exactly as he had 2 weeks ago, wearing the same simple diplomatic uniform, his face showing the same calm expression, but Rolvin's ancient instincts screamed danger. Something fundamental had changed about the man standing before the assembled representatives. "The Council recognizes Ambassador Lang of Earth," Rolvin said, keeping his voice neutral despite the unease crawling through his body. Lang walked to the speaker's podium, his footsteps echoing in the vast chamber. The assembled delegates watched him with expressions ranging from hostility to fear. Reports from across the galaxy had reached them all. The human transformations, the Guardian installations, the reality manipulation, the mockery of 2 weeks ago had evaporated, replaced by uncertainty. "Thank you, High Magistrate," Lang said. His voice carried the same measured tone as before, but now it seemed to resonate with something deeper, as if other voices spoke through him. "I have returned to offer the Council a choice." "You return with threats," General Brevak growled from his seat. The Torvan warlord had lost over 200 ships in his failed assault on human colonies. His forearms gestured aggressively. "You hide behind ancient technology and pretend to be gods." Lang turned to face Brevak directly. "We are not gods, General. We are what your species would become if you survived long enough. We are what evolution produces when a civilization refuses to destroy itself." He addressed the entire council, his words measured and precise. "Humanity did not choose this transformation. It was chosen for us millions of years ago when the galaxy faced extinction. The previous civilizations, your ancestors in many cases, created us to be guardians. They embedded protocols in our genetic code, installed defenses across the galaxy, and gave us one purpose: protect reality from threats that would consume it." Representative Solvix of the Hravathi clicked her mandibles nervously. "The ancient enemy you speak of was defeated. The war ended millions of years ago." "The enemy was contained, not defeated," Lang corrected. "It still exists beyond the barriers our predecessors built. And it is stirring. Our sensors detect pressure on the dimensional walls. In approximately 300 years, those walls will fail. The enemy will return." Silence gripped the chamber. Rolvin felt his ancient heart accelerate. 300 years is significant time. "Why activate your protocols now?" "Because the galaxy is not ready," Lang said simply. "You fight each other over resources and territory while the real threat gathers strength. You mock and attack species you perceive as weak rather than seeking cooperation. The aggression directed at humanity triggered our assessment protocols. We evaluated galactic civilization and found it unprepared for what is coming." He pulled up a holographic display showing the galactic map. Thousands of points of light appeared, marking Guardian installations. "This is our network. It spans every sector, every major system, every strategic location. For millions of years it has stood dormant. Now it is active again and we offer you a choice. What choice? Rolvin asked, though he suspected he knew the answer. Choice 1. Accept Guardian protection. Submit to new regulations designed to prepare galactic civilization for the coming war. These regulations will limit territorial expansion, require cooperation on defense initiatives, and prioritize species survival over individual empire growth. Under this choice, we will share our technology, train your fleets, and ensure everyone has a chance to survive what is coming. Lang paused, and his expression hardened. Choice 2. Refuse our protection. Continue your current trajectory of conflict and competition. Under this choice, we will isolate aggressive species in their home systems until they mature past their destructive phase. You will live, but you will not participate in galactic affairs until you demonstrate readiness. Imprisonment, Brevak snarled. You threaten us with imprisonment in our own systems. We offer quarantine until you are no longer a danger to yourselves and others, Lang replied. Many current council species are descended from civilizations that underwent this process. They were contained, they evolved socially, and they were released when ready. It is not punishment. It is protection. Protection we did not ask for, said a delegate from the Delphari. Protection you need whether you ask for it or not, Lang said. The enemy does not negotiate. It does not show mercy. It will consume everything in this galaxy if we fail to stand united. Your ancestors understood this. They created us because they knew future generations might forget. Rolvin leaned forward in his throne. What makes you believe we will submit to your authority? You are one species among 47. Because we are already in position, Lang said quietly. Every system with a Guardian installation, which is nearly every system, is now under our monitoring. We do not control you, but we observe you, and we will intervene if we detect activities that threaten galactic security. He gestured, and the holographic display changed, showing the Torvin Third Fleet. General Brevak, your ships attempted to attack human colonies with weapons rated for planetary destruction. We disabled those weapons and relocated your fleet to prevent loss of life. Your crews are unharmed, but your military capability is now limited to defensive operations only. Brevak shot to his feet, all forearms reaching for weapons that were not there. Security had confiscated all weapons before the session. You have no right. We have every right. We are the immune system this galaxy created to protect itself. You became an infection. We responded. The chamber erupted in arguments, delegates shouting over each other. Some demanded resistance. Others called for acceptance. A few sat in stunned silence. Rolvin raised his hand and order slowly returned. The ancient magistrate studied Lang carefully. You said we have a choice, but it sounds like you will impose your will regardless of our decision. We will impose safety, Lang corrected. How we do that depends on your choice. Work with us willingly and we remain partners. Resist us and we become wardens, but either way the galaxy will be ready when the enemy returns. And if we refuse both choices? Solvix asked. If we fight? Lang's expression showed genuine sadness. Then you will lose. We do not wish to fight. We came to you in peace, remember? We asked only for protection and partnership. You responded with mockery and aggression. You activated protocols we hoped would never be needed again. He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of delegates from dozens of species. We are not your enemy. But we will not allow you to destroy yourselves or weaken the galaxy before the real enemy arrives. Choose cooperation or choose isolation, but choose quickly. The transformation is complete. The Guardian network is online, and we begin preparations for the coming war whether you join us or not. Observer Quillneck, who had been given special permission to attend this session, spoke up from the observer's gallery. I have studied the archives. The Guardians saved this galaxy once before. Perhaps we should trust them to do so again. Trust earned through force is not trust, Brevak growled, but his voice lacked its earlier confidence. Trust earned through sacrifice is the strongest kind, Lang replied. Our ancestors gave up individual existence to become something greater. We hope to remain human, to live as individuals who loved and dreamed. That hope died when you mocked us and claimed our colonies. We return to duty not because we want to, but because we must. Rolvin made his decision. He had survived 8 centuries by recognizing when circumstances changed beyond his ability to control them. The Council will vote on the Guardian proposal. All in favor of accepting protection and cooperation indicate now. The vote was not unanimous. 17 species led by the Torvan Empire refused, but 30 species voted yes, including the Olgren, the Delphari, and several others who had witnessed the Guardian power firsthand. The motion passes, Rolvin declared. The Galactic Council will cooperate with Guardian protocols. Lang nodded. Those who voted yes will receive our full support. Those who voted no will find their systems contained within dimensional barriers until they reconsider. No harm will come to them, but they will not interfere with our preparations. This is tyranny, Brevak shouted. This is survival, Lang corrected. And someday, when you see what is coming, you will understand. The Torvan general stormed out of the chamber, followed by the other dissenting delegates. Lang watched them go without emotion. For those who remain, he said to the council, we begin immediately. Guardian technology will be shared. Defense training will commence, and the galaxy will learn to stand together against the darkness beyond. He turned to leave but stopped at the doorway. We never wanted this. Remember that. We came in peace and you forced us into war, but we will do what we were created to do. We will protect this galaxy, even from itself. Ambassador David Lang walked out of the council chamber for the second time. This time no one laughed. High Magistrate Rolvin sat alone in his throne long after the session ended, staring at the stars visible through the transparent walls. 300 years seemed like a long time to prepare. He suspected it would not be long enough.